So we are back today and we're going to be putting LEDs in your overhead climate controls and the rear controls, as well as the sunroof open close buttons with the home link as well. So this side over here, you can see this is a O2 Escalade unit. Good way to tell between the two is the O3 Plus has a kind of brighter black finish on the buttons, and a O2 style will have this light gray. And then there's one more style of these two climates here. These are the auto styles. This one's out of an Escalade, and this one is out of a Yukon XL Denali, I believe, which is why it is the auto version. There's one more version, which is the manual version. It's going to look identical inside, and I'm going to have that polarity chart listed in the description, but the process will be the same for that. So let me show you what you're going to need. So here's what you'll need. Some LEDs, some smaller 3mm, 3 to 14 volts, and some larger 5mm 3 to 14 volts, and some SMD 3528 LEDs here. I will have all three of these linked in the description. So let's move on to tools. We're going to need a pair of side cutters to trim the LEDs, 2 metal pry tools ideally, or flathead screwdrivers to get the upper climate controls out, a good pair of tweezers with some serrations on them for gripping the LEDs, marker is going to help us keep track of polarities, a screwdriver with a T10 bit, this will get the garage door buttons out, and a 1/4-inch drive socket. Your screwdriver more than likely is a 1/4-inch drive, so this will work perfect for that. A 5mm socket for the rear climate on the O3 Plus only. We're going to need some flux, no clean. I'll have this linked in the description as well. Make sure you get that. A solder sucker or solder wick to remove the solder out of the holes. Some solder. Leaded solder works great. And a soldering iron. So here I have a station and a chiseled tip. We're going to start with the overhead console here. So for taking this apart, everything I'm going to show you is going to be exactly identical to the 2000-2002 versions. So this is the 2003-7 one. So we need to take out this climate control first. So it's going to come out the front. Now usually you have to press these 4 tabs on the back here. Don't know if you can see those. So these little tiny plastic tabs, if you've ever tried to push them in, most of the time they're going to break and just be a pain. So first we're going to need to get the garage door opener out of our way. So there's 2 T10 screws here and here. Let's take those out. With the screws removed, now we can take both of these wires on each side, pull out towards you. They're on these little plastic tabs. That frees that up. And then now we can remove this connector off of the garage door buttons. So what we're going to want to do is pull this black tab up towards you and also pull the connector up towards you and out. It is a little tricky sometimes. There we go. And then now this, put these wires out of the way, and we can just shimmy this up and out of the way. So I can show you here that it's kind of clipped on both sides here. It's a little bit of a pain. So we'll set this to the side. Now we're going to remove the climate control. So we're not going to go from the back, we're going to go from the front. Little cheat code here. So you can start from either the left or right hand side, and all we're going to want to do is get our 2 tools in here in the corner and pull out towards you until you kind of feel it come out, and then move to the other side. Sometimes it'll pop back in just like that. There we go. So I wasn't as graceful with it that time. So now you can see it's popped out right here. So now we go to the back, and the opposite side that we did, we push down till it goes under here and it just falls right out. And look at that. That doesn't happen too often. all 4 clips intact. So let's set that aside for now. And to get this apart, first the knob's got to come off. Pull straight towards you. Super easy. Get our pry tool again. We're going to have to take the faceplate off. There's 2 clips on either side, here and here. There we go. And there we go. That is off to the side. And now we can pull, nope. This is where you'll need your 1/4 inch. So we have 2 screws here and here. So now that it's out, here are the 4 bulbs we're going to be replacing. And now I'm going to show you the polarity. So I have another one apart here. This is the exact same board. Like I said, the polarity charts and numbers will be in the description. So if we look up here, we have positive at the top, positive at the top, positive down, and positive down. And for testing purposes, pin A5 here, the top row, is your negative, and pin A8 all the way at the end is your positive. So let me show you that on the pigtail. You have the 03 plus pigtail. The brown with white stripe is your positive, and the black, solid black, is your negative. And now these connectors are labeled row A and B and numbered, so that's how you figure out these pins. So now that we know that, this is the end product here. So let me show you how to solder these in real quick. So here I've got the board in my helping hands here. You can just use really any or not at all. You really don't need it. So now we're going to pull away from us while we desolder the LEDs. Let's get our flux, put it on each joint here. Toss those out. Super easy. And let me just mark this board so that way you can see in the video better while we do it. Positive up, down, down, just like that. So now we need to get the solder out of these holes. So we can take our solder sucker or our wick. I'm going to show you one of these, and then it will be identical on the other ones. I believe we have it clear. Let me check. LEDs don't go in this way. I'm just checking if they're clear. Okay. So now we take our LED here, the 5mm version. Longer leg is positive, shorter is negative. We're going to push it through the board here. Doesn't really matter how close we get it, but I like to usually leave them flush, but you can leave them up really as high as this right there, pretty much. So let's solder this in. Don't need to cut the legs until we're done here. So get a little solder on your iron. Need a little bit more there. There we go. Now those are both soldered in pretty good. Now we can cut these legs off. And let me show you this up close. So repeat that exact same process for the other 3. There's no point to show you. So got all 4 LEDs installed here. This is just the other board. Put it back in the housing here. And you're going to want want to put those 2 1/4-inch screws back in. Easiest way to do this is with your screwdriver facing up and guiding it to the hole and screwing it in. And now remember, these are plastic holes, so if you feel any resistance, spin your screwdriver backwards a couple turns until you hear it kind of click into place, and it shouldn't give you really any resistance to screw it in. If it's really hard to screw in, it's gonna crack and you're doing it wrong. So in with the other one. And there we go. Super easy. Now we can put our faceplate back on. Sure it's all the way clicked down. Put our knobs back on. You can see here it's a little D shape, so they'll only go on one way. All 3 knobs are the same. Those are all on. For testing purposes here, obviously you just throw this right back in your truck, but if you want to test it, there we go. So for the 2000 to 2002 version, this is the auto Escalade style. Knobs come off the exact same way. We open it the exact same. Faceplate off. Got 2 1/4-inch screws in there, so remove those and then I will show you what the board looks like. So 2 screws are out, board comes straight out, and here we'll have a look at the polarity for the 2000-2002. So here we have positive to the left, left, and left on all 4. And for testing purposes, we've got pin A1 is your positive and pin A8 is your negative. So let me grab the test connector here and show you this. There we go. If I don't touch them together. And then that will correspond on your connector again to the solid black is your negative and the gray is going to be your positive. So let me put this back together and show you that lit up. So we've got this all back together here, plugged in. There's what that looks like lit up. Now we're going to move to the garage door buttons. So this is what we removed from the 2003 overhead console. So let's get this open. So you've got a little clip here, and that comes apart. This top light brown board, you see this clip up here. We're going to depress that as we get a metal pry tool and pull up on the board just a little bit, and that's going to come back like that. And then this bottom board, we can just slide out of here. Don't pull the cable at all, but just shimmy the board out of there. Set that aside. So here we go. These are the 3 garage door illumination buttons. And then down here I have marked that 3-pin connector. This one over here is your negative, and this middle one is your positive. So let's get this into our holder here. And here we're going to use the 3mm LEDs, 3 of them. Lock that in. So now I've already marked this for you here. So on this one we have positive this way, positive here for this one, and then positive this way for this one. So let's put a tiny dab of flux on each end of the bulbs. Just a tiny bit. And we're going to get our soldering iron and our tweezers here. So what we're going to do is take one side and desolder it and very gently lift up on the bulb at the same time. Just kind of shimmy it a little bit and it will come off the pad there. These pads are extremely fragile, so then we can go to the other side. It's already off the one pad. Just shimmy it off. And it was still touching the other pad just a hair. There we go. So that is off. I will show you all three here. Super gentle. Try not to lever back as far as I just did. My hand slipped. Took the cover off. There we go. There we go. So now those three are off. Let me show you up close here why we have to be so careful about this. So these pads will just lift right up basically. I don't know if I can show you here, but those will lift up super easy, so you want to be really gentle with them. Let's put this back in. And now we're going to get our solder wick to clean up the pads. There we are. Now we can take our 3mm LEDs, and remember the longer leg is positive and shorter is negative. So what to do on here is I'm going to bend this completely flat, each one of the legs. So remember this side is positive, as flat as we can get it. So this side is a positive, hold it just like that. Get them both pretty straight with each other, like that. They don't have to be perfectly level, but close enough. And now we are going to cut them pretty short. So right before this notch here is where I like to cut them. Right there, then right there. Just like that. Now we get our tweezers. And let me see if I can hold it like that so I can get you a good view here. You would just do it from overhead, but let's get some solder on our iron and do one pad at a time here. There's one. And you see what I mean? So that pad is just a little loose there. But as soon as we secure it to the other side, we will be fine. I'm going to reheat that up because it rotated a bit. Here we are, and then on to the other pad. Perfect. So that is good on there. And we're going to do the exact same process for the other two. So I will do that real quick and come back. So all three of these are on. There you go. And then I'm going to test it here for you with those two pins. Like I said, the end is negative, middle is positive. And again, you would just be putting this right back in your truck. But just to give you an example here, there you are. So now we have to clean up the flux off of here with our Q-tip. And just be very gentle with those pads. Clean up as much as you can. back together. I'll show you that real quick. So this bottom board and the bottom housing, just kind of shimmy it in there. And the top, there's a little ledge in here that it sits on. Put the base of the board on that little ledge there, and then we're going to push it forward while we depress that clip, and it snaps into place. Just goes back like this, and we are done with that. So here's the 2002 version. Pretty much identical, except for the way the LEDs are in here. So again, to take this top board out, push this clip in, pry it out against the board, comes right out, and then this bottom board just shimmies out of here. There we go. So exact same polarity on this. Let me show you. So negative, positive. That's your 12 volts. Then for this, so I've already put one LED on to show you here. So these are the 3528 LEDs. You have positive this way, and this way, and then you're replacing these little LEDs here. So they're not incandescent like the 03 Pluses, and they're a lot smaller, so that's why we have to use these 3528 LEDs. So let me see if I can get you in close here on this. So these will have a little notched triangle corner in them pretty much, and that is going to be your negative. So this flat side is going to our positive. So let me show you taking one of these off. It looks intimidating, but it's really not as bad as you think it is. So let's get a little bit of flux. We're going to do the center bulb. We're going to get our tweezers, and just like the other one, gently pull up as you desolder each side. Very gentle with how much you pull it. And then desolder the other side. There we go. Got stuck on the other one, so that's how tiny that little one is. So now we get our 3528s here. Open this up. So we're going to take the side with the notch on it, and that is going to be our negative. So we're going to place it down just like that. Put a little bit of solder on our iron. Get our tweezer in here. Just kind of center it the best we can. Got one side. Let me turn this. And got the other side. Take this out to give you a close look at that. So all three are installed. I'm going to test it here for you real quick. There we go. Super bright. Now we're moving on to the sunroof switch. So I'm going to show you to take it out real quick. So get your metal pry tool, and between the actual switch and the housing here, we're going to push in and away, and on each side will pop up. There we go. Just like that. So that's the same on both years, the 2000, 2002, or the 03 Plus. And I'll show you these side by side here. So the lighter gray is the 2000, 2002, and then the darker gray or black is 2003 to 7. So these are both going to come apart the same way. Polarities are the same. So I will show you that real quick. Let me get the connector. There it is. So here's your sunroof connector. Big yellow wire and the black wire. Yellow wire is your positive 12 volts and negative is your black. And now that correlates on here with, let's see, black is pin C and yellow is pin B. And they are labeled on the back there. So now to take this apart, we're going to leave the button on the top. And on each side there's going to be a little clip here. We're going to pry in and down until it slides up on either side. Now you see it doesn't slide free yet, so what we're going to do is go in on the sides in here and pry down. Flip it over the other side and pry down. What we're doing here is actually removing the bottom housing from the pins here, because you can't take this button off. It'll break. It's the way they put it on here. So this is the easiest way to do it. So we have our two halves here. One side has our bulb. Super easy. I've already marked this here for you. Right here is our positive and then our negative. We're going to put a 3mm here. So let's get this in the housing holder. That'll stay, I think. Not that great, but let's get our flux. Each leg of the light. And now these were kind of threaded through the hole a little bit, so you have to pull out a little more than you think you do. Then we can get our solder wick in here. Try not to melt the plastic too much. I believe that one's good to go. The other one. Yep, both holes are free. Take our 3mm. Remember, positive is long leg. Put each side, spread the legs a little bit. Push those through the hole. And you're going to want to basically have it setting on this plastic ridge right here. And make sure it's within the housing, or else the sides are going to hit it. Get a little bit of solder on the iron. Got one side. And we got the other. So now we can take it out. See there? And we can trim the legs down as far as you can. Now we can put this back together. So make sure all of the pins here are as straight as they came out. And the side that has the two pins missing is where we're going to put this. So slide that gently back in. Make sure it's aligned. There we go. Clip it back together. Button still works. Let's take our connector here. Show you this lit up. Black to black. Negative. And then positive is your yellow here. And this is identical process on the 2002 one. So here's your 2003 to 07 rear radio slash climate control. You have the climate buttons here. So let's take this apart. So we flip it over to the back. We have 2 of the 5mm bolts here. So let's take those off. Those are out. Put those to the side. Now we need to take our 2 volume knobs, pull straight up. Now you'll see here this little metal tab was left here. That's fine, just make sure we put that back on the right one. It's supposed to come out like that. So now we can take the front housing off. There's 2 clips here, 2 clips here. There we go, just pop it right off. Now I can separate this. And now that it's open, I'm going to move to, or well, first I'll show you how to take this backboard out. So we have 2 more 5mm right here. You unscrew those and this board just pops right out. I'm going to move to the one that I already have open over here with LEDs. So here we go with that rear board out, and then this is our front board here. So I'm going to take this apart real quick. Let me just pull these knobs back off. So I already have everything marked on this one. So this board just pulls straight out. These buttons can fall out, so do it face down. And here we go, get you a good look at that. The polarities here. So we're going to have, let me show you the front. 3 bulbs are going to be here, down here, and then 2 up here, so 5, I'm sorry. And these are all going to be 5mm. So, see here I marked. We have positive, 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 and positive, all facing this way. And then when you do this, remove this little rubber piece here. And for testing purposes, you can't actually go through the connector because the actual driver for the lights is on this half of the board and it's not a signal coming straight from the truck. So what I've done here is got the signal, the positive, as it goes to the LEDs, and then the ground coming from the truck here, and I just soldered some wires on for testing purposes here so I can get you guys the polarity. Let me show you that real quick. You won't have to do this since I already figured out the polarity for you. There we go. And then I will show you the soldering process on the other one real quick here. So when taking this front board off, I forgot to mention there was these 2 5mm down at the bottom that I had removed on the other one, so make sure you get those. So we've got the board in our holder here. Put flux on each of your pins. I'm going to do this one here just to show you. Pull the bulb out with your other hand as you desolder it. There we go. And then we clear the holes. There we are. We take our 5mm LED, positive longer leg, put it through this side of the board, some solder on our iron here, to each leg, and then we cut the legs and clean up the flux. There, I'll take that out and show you. So that is identical on these other ones, and then remember to put this back on there. This to put back on there, you just put that on, and then you'll pull the little rubber fingers on the back side and it'll pull it down. So there you go, and I will show you the full version of this lit up in just a second. Alright, so I've got the face installed back on this to show you it all lit up. There we go. Obviously the center screen's only going to work once we put it in the truck, and that pretty much covers everything for today. So if there's any other module you want me to go over, or if you have one and it was a style that I did not cover in this video, let me know in the comments and I can try to help you out. Or let me know which ones you want me to cover in the future. And I really hope this helped you. Thanks for watching.